rate goes up. Okay? So your choice is here. So then it becomes that you work 2 more hours. Okay, you work 2 more. So the leisure you choose is 14. Okay? And suppose you want to work another 2 hours. Okay, so let us say sorry, a little bit awkward, but anyway. So let us say your choice is here. So then your leisure is 12 hours, and then you work 12 hours. So what happened here? So let us say the wage rate is W, right? W. And if you work for 8 hours, what do you get? For 8 hours, you get AW, okay? And then you work overtime from 9 to 10 hours, so you have 1.5 W, right? Times 2, what you get? You get 3W, okay? And then you work another further 2 hours, so 2 times 2, what you get? You get 4W. So if you work 12 hours, what's your total pay? Your total pay would be 15W, okay? But for 15W, how many hours do you work? You work 12 hours, right? So that means your hourly wage rate is actually, 1.25, okay? Suppose you spread 1.25 hours evenly. So that means your hourly rate will be 1.25 now. So 1.25 W times 8. So how much would that be? 10W, is that right? Right, okay. So what does that mean? That means there is something strange, okay? As we say, if wage rate goes up, actually you have 2 effects, substitution effect and income effect. For substitution effect, the work, okay, will go up. But for income effect, the work will go down, okay? What happened with overtime pay? The interesting thing about overtime pay is that it carries off the income effect. Okay, it carries off the income effect. Why? Because suppose you can spread out the increase in wage rate evenly, okay? So actually your hourly rate is 1.25 W, okay? But if you have 1.25 W per hour, if you work 8 hours, what do you get? You get 10 W. You see, originally, you only get 8 W, right? And suppose you spread the increase in wage rate evenly, you actually get 10 W for 8 hours of work. So what happened? What happened is that, suppose the overtime pay can be spread out. Will you really work more? That's the question, because then you have income effect. Okay, so sometimes the boss may ask you to work more, and it's like a benefit to you to give you overtime pay. But as a matter of fact, if you have overtime pay, it actually carries out your income effect. So if you have wage rate like 1.25 W, okay, that's like 25% more, right? 25% more. Well, you really work 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours? The answer may be no, okay? So overtime pay sounds like it's good to workers, but actually what overtime pay has done is to get rid of the income effect of increase in wage rate. So supposedly, okay, if you can get the increase in wage rate, why not let the boss give you that? But the boss will be unwilling to do that, because in that case, if you get higher pay, right? What would you do? You're going to work more or work less? Probably work less. Okay? And you know, sometimes legislators, they are really stupid. For example, it is 2 years ago, 2 years or 3 years ago, there's a rule. And the legislator intend to be kind, generous to workers. They say, no matter what, if you have overtime, if you have overtime, it doesn't matter how many hours that is. It is 1, 2, or 3, whatever it is always count as 4 hours of overtime. Okay, let me repeat this again. Okay, the rule is kind to workers. They want to be kind to you. Okay, you work very hard, and so you need to get paid, and very high pay. So if you work overtime 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, no matter how many that is, you can always get 4 hours of overtime pay. Okay, if you're the boss, if you're the company, if you're the employers, what would you do? Gao Jiayan. Do you remember the rule? It used to be that way. Okay? So you just work overtime for 1 hour. But the law requires the government to pay you 4 hours of overtime. So if you are the boss, if you are the employers, what would you do? 苏伟伦, what would you do? If you are the boss or employers? No idea. 林玉祥. Yeah. Okay. Before the change in this rule, okay. Of course, you work overtime for 1 hour, you get 1 hour overtime, right? If you work for 2 hours overtime, you get 2 hours overtime pay. 3 hours, 3, 4 hours, 4. Okay. But once upon a time, okay, the rule stipulates that if you work 1 hour, you can get 4 hours overtime pay. Or 2 hours, the same thing, 4 hours overtime pay. 3 hours, the same thing, 4 hours overtime pay. Of course, if you work 4 hours overtime, you get 4 hours overtime pay. That means you work less than or equal to 4 hours overtime, you always get 4 hours overtime pay. Okay, your work may be less than 4, but you always get 4 hours overtime pay. You get it? Okay, is it good or bad? If you are the employees, employers, what would you do? Exactly. And that's what companies do, right? So who is going to complain this rule? The employers or the workers? They both complain. Because, you know, sometimes, of course, you can, some workers may try to game the system, right? They look at the hours, okay? I want to get overtime, okay? And I just work overtime for 1 hour. His purpose is to get how many? 4, right? So this, of course, is going to hurt the company. So we know that for a company, okay, to maximize profit, it has to be marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So the marginal cost used to be 1 hour of overtime, right? But now the company has to pay 4 hours overtime. The revenue, the marginal revenue does not increase, but the marginal cost increase. So what will happen to the company? They don't want anyone to have overtime pay. So that's what I say, the legislators are really stupid, right? They want to be kind to workers, but instead they hurt the workers, right? They used to get, you know, whatever 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of overtime pay, okay? They work that hours and they get that pay. But because of this, they never get any because the company said, no way. If you just work 1 hour overtime. And the point is, do you know you will have 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, 4 hours overtime today? You have no idea, right? So that's the reason the company said no more. Okay, so they got hurt in their income. Of course, this rule probably does not last for maybe 6 months, and people get rid of it. So anyway, so some of the legislators are really just so stupid. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's see what more we're gonna cover. Okay, there's one more here for backward bending supply curve. Backward bending labor supply. And that's the example I've told you before last week. Okay, so we have, be careful here. I will put labor, okay? It's no longer big L. Big L will be leisure. So this is labor. And this is the wage rate, right? So when wage rate goes up, people work more. It makes sense, right? The law of supply, okay? But then, at a certain point, the income effect outweighs the substitution effect. So here it starts bending backward. So what happens is, at a certain point, when when wage rate goes up, you earn more, and much more than you would like to work more. So then the wage rate continue to go up, but your work goes down. Okay? It doesn't mean leisure is a given good. Okay? Leisure is never a given good. It is because your income effect outweighs the substitution effect. Okay? Because now you make more money. And so you don't care about work because you already have a lot of income. And that's the reason I told you, I stayed in Tainan before, a rural area. The doctors there work 6 days a week. 6 days a week. Gosh. So almost like an ordinary worker, right? But in Taipei, there's a very famous road called the Nai Road, right? And there's a alley called Celebrity, Celebrity Alley, 邱冠冕, 3 words in Mandarin. Alley is, what's alley? 属于一种像, okay? Celebrity. Right. The doctor there, I'm telling you the true story, okay? If you want to make denture, what is denture? 庄先生, denture.
Denture, 危险.
No, denture.
Oh,
denture. Suppose because of cavity or whatever reason you lost your teeth, what would you need to work? 属于一种 denture. Suppose you have cavity or whatever reason you lost your teeth, you need to have 2 words. 你想 Right. It's so interesting. Denture, if you make denture, the marginal cost is, I was supposed to be the same everywhere, right? But in this place, okay, the Nai Road, Celebrity Alley, it costs you, gosh, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. But in other areas, it's just like several thousand. And so what happened there is that the dentist there only have to work like 3 or 4 days a week, okay? But the one in rural area of Tainan has to work for 6 days a week. Anyway, so they have much higher income. And why there's such a price difference? We're going to talk about it when we get to suppliers or monopoly. Okay, it is called, sorry, it is called price discrimination. Because who stay in the celebrity alley? Rich men, right? So of course, the doctors, the dentists going to charge more, right? And you people in rural area, how much are they going to pay? They are much more poorer than the people stay in, celebrity alley, right? So the doctors, they are much more wealthier, and so they work much less. Okay, so the income effect outweighs the substitution effect. Okay, let me see. Whoops, sorry. Time is up. See you next week.